Hello everybody, today we're going to be taking a look at a very cool fixture. It's a Sylvania AlleyKat. Why they put the name on it 3 times, I don't know, because I definitely couldn't see it right here. Either way, this is a very unique fixture and one that I never thought I would actually find. It's unique for many different reasons, of course, like a lot of these are, but this one can be mounted in 4 different ways. So, let's take a look around the fixture. On the front of it here, obviously, we have Sylvania 3 times, just to make sure they get their point across for you. Now, I do believe that this was also sold under the Thomas and Betts name as well. I believe there's an example of that online somewhere, but most of these that are found are under the Sylvania name here on the front. So as you can see, it has a Type 3 refractor assembly, and it's kind of shaped like a little street light. Now this is exactly how I found it, and I believe this assembly is on wrong, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. But I found the fixture itself, which as you can see is in amazing condition. I don't think this was ever installed outside. It must have been a display model or in a box for a long time or something. We have a little bit of paint going on here. Maybe that'll scrape off. I'm not really sure what it is, but I'm a little worried about putting a paint remover on it. I don't want to ruin the finish of the fixture itself. We have a photo cell, and we'll take a closer look at it once we put it together correctly. But at the moment, it's put together a little incorrectly. Now, as previously mentioned, it can be mounted 4 different ways. If we imagine a wall right here, you can mount it directly out like this, which makes the most sense to me. You could also mount it to a ceiling like this. You could mount it to a wall like this and have it be kind of like a wall pack. Or, the most interesting one I think, is you can mount it to a 1 1/4 inch arm. You don't really see many of these mounted like that. They're usually mounted to the wall just like this, or to a ceiling. Most of them I've seen are like this. So, the different mounting brackets we have. This is for our flat mount, just like this. Mounts to the back of the fixture and would slide on to a bracket. I unfortunately don't have that bracket it slides onto, but I do have the different styles of these. It came with the fixture. Awesome find again. I wish it came with the box. Obviously, it must have had it at some point because you can see remnants of the styrofoam being in it for so long. But this would mount to the back, and it would slide onto the bracket, and then you could hang it on the wall like so. The second option is this L bracket here. You can mount it like this and mount it to the ceiling, or you could do the same thing and mount it to the wall like so. On the back of the bracket here, obviously you'd screw it to the fixture, and you'd have this little cover that would cover up that area in case you do have it mounted like so. Water doesn't necessarily get in there easily enough. Or, of course, if you have it mounted to the ceiling. Now, again, this would slide onto a bracket, but we are missing that bracket here. And last but certainly not least is the holder for the arm. So this would screw onto the area back here, like so. And then you'd have a tightening screw to tighten it onto the arm itself. Now, when I got this, again, it didn't have any of this hardware. The only screw that it came with, other than the screws to hold the refractor assembly on, and this back cover here, and, of course, to hold all the ballast equipment in. So I had to find a screw for this. This is a stainless steel metric screw, so that it won't rust, but it was missing that to pinch onto the arm there. It was also missing the screws to mount these brackets to the fixture. So I also went to the hardware store and found some appropriate threaded ones as well that fit right down in there and will screw to the fixture. Now, unfortunately, due to the fact that I do not have the bracket to mount these, we won't be able to mount it like this to give an example. I could fabricate something to use for that, but we're going to go with what I think is the coolest option and mount it to a pole or an arm here. So, as in traditional fashion, I got a flange here and a 1 1/4 inch 6-inch pipe, and that's what we're going to mount it to. So, first things first, let's open this thing up and take a look inside and wire it up. On either side of this plastic refractor assembly, we have a Phillips screw. So we're going to go ahead and remove those. So as soon as we open this up, move the assembly to the side, we'll find the bulb. So as you can see, it says top here. They had this on backwards and wrong. So there's the insides of the fixture. We have top, a Union-made Underwriters Laboratory, and Sylvania GTE. So there's the catalog number. 70 watt high pressure sodium, 120 volt normal power factor with a photo cell. Very nice sticker there. Of course, they talk about the lamp to replace it. Now, looking at the catalog for this particular style of fixture from Sylvania, it noted that in any version you'd get, it would come with the bulb pre-installed already in the socket. So I'm sure this is the original bulb to the fixture. Lumalux LU70 medium base 090, some type of date code, I'm sure. Sylvania. I do like this style of Sylvania bulb. I like the spiral wound support here. Very cool design. So this has to be the original bulb to the fixture here. Let's take it out though, as I'm curious to see if there's a, yep, there's a rating in the bottom of the socket there. Kind of like a fiber board piece of material. So yeah, there's our bulb. It does have a little bit of use on it, as you can see. I'm sure it was a demonstration unit or in a store on display, something. It had to have been, because this is just in such good shape. It doesn't have any signs of wear and tear from being outside. So we have 2 screws here, 1, 2, and the ballast will come out on this tray. Now, I believe this fixture was offered in a couple different wattages. You could get it in 50, 70, 100, or 150 watt high pressure sodium. And I believe they also had a 100 watt mercury vapor option here in America. Now, I also believe that this fixture was offered in other countries as well, not just here in the US. So I'm sure there was other offerings like 80 watt mercury vapor, or of course 70 watt high pressure sodium, along with probably a couple others, depending on where you find one of these fixtures. So there's our tray with the socket. If we flip it over, we can see inside we definitely have some cobwebs and our photo cell. So the photo cell is going to make it a little hard for us to look at everything today because it's holding everything in place. But it's an area lighting research photo cell. And on the side of it there, I don't know if you can read it, but it says 2/88. So 1988 was the manufacturing date for that photo cell. I believe toward the end of this style of fixture's life. I could be wrong. Maybe they made it a little more past the 80s, but I would think the most recent catalog I saw was like 87 or something. Anyway, this is the little ballast tray. So if something went wrong, you can just replace the tray here. And here's our ballast and starter, or igniter, I should say. The igniter is made by Universal, or Magnatech Universal. I'm sure the ballast is as well. It looks like the ballast is starting to slide out that way. So let's go ahead and just loosen it up here a little bit. There we go. And here is our ballast. Looks like you could add a capacitor if you want it to be high power factor, but of course we don't have that, so it's just normal power factor. I wonder if they ever made these in 18 watt low pressure sodium. You definitely could. The bulb would fit in there. Yeah, nice little ballast. It's wound very nicely as well. And let's see, that goes back on right here. So I'm going to get that mounted back up. Okay, so we have the ballast mounted back on its assembly here. And now we'll work on wiring it up. And in doing so, we need to make sure we choose a plug that is big enough to fit through the pipe, because that's what we're going to use. So let's find one. I took a moment to vacuum out the inside of the housing here, and we got our cord. Looks like I did not strip the ground here, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. And then we'll get this all put together and ready for enjoyment. There we go. Everything's wired up. Now we just need to put everything back into the housing here. It says top in the back there, top right here, so that'll make sure that we get everything put in correctly. And we'll need some extra length here, of course. I suppose we could find a way to secure that wire in here so it doesn't necessarily get pulled out by accident. Okay, we got the fixture all wired up and the cord secured here to a screw. Now, all we need to do is put everything back together inside the housing here, and we can move on to taking a look at the refractor assembly. Now, the refractor assembly itself is hiding a reflector inside, and you wouldn't really know it from the outside here. It just looks like it's some type of polycarbonate, casing in general, and hopefully most of the light comes out of the refractor assembly here. But indeed, there is a reflector inside, molded out of aluminum. There is its sticker. I'm guessing that was a company separate from Sylvania who developed this reflector assembly. Just the fact that they have another sticker on it here. AlleyKat, I guess is the name. Proprietary term of Aluminum Company of America, I believe is what it says there. Reflect in the corner. It's a little bit dirty inside, as you can see. We'll try to clean that up a little bit. But the bulb sits in this area here, and then it gets reflected and refracted on its way out. So a pretty cool inside look there. I didn't know that it had a separate reflector assembly. Before we move on to installing the bulb and the refractor here, we want to mount the mounting piece of choice on the back. So we need this for the arm, obviously. And the holes on the back here aren't already pre-drilled. I did one and got it threaded. The others, I guess, are drilled, I should say. They're just not threaded. So it's a little bit of a process to do it correctly so you're not stripping out the screw or the threads. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mounted on here, and then we'll get it mounted in its new home. We have our mounting bracket of choice now installed. I decided to put the little set screw here at the bottom. I'm guessing it usually would go on the top based on where that kind of screw is on a NEMA head, but it's going to be easier to access here on the bottom for our demonstration. So there is our 1 1/4 inch bracket. Very nice. Now all we need to do is reinstall the bulb here. And we will set our reflector assembly. You kind of have to go in down here and then slide it up. So we'll do that. And it'll sit just like so. I took the screws out so that I wouldn't lose them. So we'll set them back into their homes here and get them tightened up. There we go. Our fixture is all ready for installation. So let's do that. There we go, all installed in its new home. Looks good there with all the street lights. Let's turn the lights off and we'll turn it on. We're currently at 120 volts. Let's plug it in 3, 2, 1. That's a quick little start up there, wasn't it? Insanely quiet. We're currently taking 34.1 watts. Power factor of 0.14 and 2.01 amps. So, as usual, let's let it warm up. Okay, looks like we're at full brightness. The watt meter here has finally leveled out in its readings. We're currently at 76 watts, 1.66 amps at 119.3 volts with a power factor of 0.38. So let's go ahead and see how well it's lighting everything up. This fixture definitely casts a very wide angle of light here. You can see it on both sides of the walls. It definitely has a wide sweep. And I'd venture to say it's a little brighter here on the walls than in the center. But again, we have a gray floor and white walls, so that's a little misleading in and of itself. But if we take a look at the lux meter here, we can see we're at about 83 lux. And of course we have a little bit of light coming in from the window over here. But it does have a very nice beam angle. It lights everything up real well. Even behind itself over here, past its area, it lights up real well. And if we take a look at it, we can see where most of the light is coming from by the different sections of the refractor that are lit up, such as right here. You know, there's just different sections that do different things. So, you know, we have a lot of light coming right out of the side here versus, you know, right here. Same can be said for the other side as well. There's certain spots that the light really catches and refracts. Not so much in the front here, as you can see, it kind of mutes itself out. You have a little bit of light outward, but definitely in a side-to-side angle here for sure. I do like the complexity of this refractor. It gives it a lot of interesting angles. Very cool. Can't really see the Sylvania logo there with how bright it is. But I'm very impressed with this thing. What a unique light. We'll back up here again and take one last look. Let's get a little bit of it cooling down. I really do hope you enjoyed this video, taking a look at this Sylvania AlleyKat 70 watt high pressure sodium area light. It can be a wall pack, area light, street light, ceiling light. Boy, this thing could be a lot. Of course, here we were only able to take a look at it in its mounted configuration. I did end up deciding to put the screw on the top just to give it a little bit of an up angle, and there was enough room to actually tighten it down, so that worked out just fine. What a unique and versatile fixture. Once again, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and also please comment, rate, share, and subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.